Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Rangana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Rangana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Rangana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Rangana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Thank you. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Pravigacharya Ashtra Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Pravigacharya Ashtra Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Muna Mai Ki Jai. Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to the Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nastapray Sabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 5, Text 48. The verse is not here, so if you guys want to look on your devices, 8.5.48. Navamaha karma kalpo api vipalayeshvarar pitaha kalpate purushashaiva sa hi atma dayito hitaha navama karma kalpote kalpi vipala yashvarar pitaha kalpate purushashaiva saheyatma dayito hitaha navama karma kalpopi vipala yashvarar pitaha kalpate purushashaiva sahi atma dayito hitaha navama karma kalpopi vipala yashvarar pitaha kalpate purushashaiva sahi atma dayito hitaha Anyone online would like to chant?
Navama karma kalpopi vipalayesh vararpitaha kalpate purushasaiva sahyatma daito hitaha
Nabama karma kalpopi Vipulaye shararpita Kalpate purusas aiva Shayatma daito hita.
No, not of a maha, very little or insignificant. Karma, activities. Kalpaha, rightly executed. Api, even. Vipalaya, go in vain. Ishvara arpitaha, because of being dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kalpate, it is so accepted. Purushasya, of all persons. Eva, indeed. Saha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He certainly. Atma, the Supersoul, the Supreme Father. Dayitaha, extremely dear. Hitaha, beneficial. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if performed in small measure, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entities. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 2:40, the Lord says, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. This dharma, devotional service, is so important that even if performed to a very small, almost negligible extent, it can give one the supreme result. There are many instances in the history of the world in which even a slight service rendered to the Lord has saved a living entity from the greatest danger. A jawmill, for example, was saved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the greatest danger, that of going to hell. He was saved simply because he chanted the name Narayan at the end of his life. When a jawmill chanted this holy name of the Lord, Narayana, he did not chant knowingly. Actually, he was calling his youngest son, whose name was Narayan. Nonetheless, Lord Narayan took this chanting seriously, and thus a jawmill achieved the result of Ante Narayana Smritihi, remembering Narayan at the end of life. If one somehow or other remembers the holy name of Narayan, Krishna, or Rama at the end of life, he immediately achieves the transcendental result of going back home, back to Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually the only object of our love. As long as we are in this material world, we have so many desires to fulfill. But when we come in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we immediately become perfect and fully satisfied, just as a child is fully satisfied when he comes to the lap of his mother. Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest to achieve some material result by austerity and penance. But when he actually saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said, I do not want any material benediction. I am completely satisfied. Even if one wants some material benefit from serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this can be achieved extremely easily without hard labor. Therefore, the Shastra recommends akama sarvakamo va moksha kama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. Bhagavatam 2:3-10. Even if one has material desires, one can undoubtedly achieve what he wants by rendering service to the Lord. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwar Vishabhanusita Devi Pranamami Hare Priya Vancha Kalpatribhischa Kripasanibhyevacha Patithanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if performed in small measure, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entities. So there's a very beautiful and encouraging verse in purport by Srila Prabhupada. This verse gives hope to anyone practicing devotional service. We should not think that we are wasting our time chanting, hearing, discussing, meditating on Krishna. These activities, they give permanent or eternal results, whereas material gain and pursuits because they're temporary. And we should not think, oh, fie upon me. I should be doing something else with my time. You know, in the Krishna lounge last night, it was very magical. Everyone was chanting, everyone forgot about their worries, their problems. And this chanting, this Harinam Sankirtan, is actually one of the means of deliverance for this age of Kali. In the Bhagavatam, the sages, they were able to foresee the future. And they saw the stages in which Kali Yuga was progressing. And they said, Prayino Paisaha Sabya Kala Wasmin Yugejana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagyahi Padritaha. They said, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. We don't live very long. And if a person reaches 100 years old, he's considered to be very old now. We're very disturbed or unlucky. And above all, we're very lazy when it comes to spiritual pursuits. Everyone in this world, they're chasing material gain, name, fame. On book distribution, you ask people, what are your goals in life? And they'll tell you very immediate goals. You know, I want my own company, but they're not looking further than that. They're not looking for anything more substantial. Therefore, book distribution is so important. We give people an opportunity to hear about Krishna. I was distributing books, and this one Mataji, she said, is this Krishna? And she pointed at, in the Spanish SSR, there's you can't even tell, but she saw the picture of Krishna playing his flute. And I said, yes, it is. And she said, I love Krishna. Without even knowing what these books were, she immediately took the journey of self-discovery, just because of the picture of Krishna. And I asked her, how did you hear about Krishna? And she said, a lot of my friends, they're devotees of Krishna. She was from, I think, Argentina or that part of the world. And so by hearing about Krishna, we don't waste our time. We actually discuss Krishna's pastimes, his teachings, his form, all of that. And we're not... And since Krishna has everything, what could we possibly give that he would want, right? Krishna is the owner of everything. He says that these 8 material energies, earth, water, fire, air, ether, the mind, intelligence, and ego, these are his 8 separated energies. One time, a devotee, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, asked him, what does this mean, the separated energy of Krishna? Srila Prabhupada was drinking milk, and he said, this milk is the separated energy of the cow. So it was a wonderful explanation. So Krishna has everything, and whatever we manipulate, you know, whether it's glass, you know, by melting, I think it's silica, yeah. So these elements, they come from Krishna only. I think you guys know the pastime of a very wealthy person. He was telling Srila Prabhupada, you know, I have all these homes and business and property. And then he said, where did you get these elements from? He said, oh, I got it from, you know, the Lord, like that. And then eventually he said, oh, I give a little bit to the temple. And then Srila Prabhupada said, oh, okay, you're a small thief. So people are taking Krishna's property and claiming it to be theirs. In actuality, this whole world belongs to Krishna. So we should use everything in his service. Relationships in life, whether it's friendship, parental relationships, conjugal relationships, they often lead to disagreements. But since Krishna is in the heart of everyone, the super soul, he reciprocates perfectly. He knows exactly what we need. And we may not understand at that time, like it says here, being the Supreme Father is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entities. So sometimes people, when they go through hardships, they blame Krishna. They blame God, you know. In Vaisheshika Prabhu's book, The Four Questions, he mentions how people play this victim role. When they experience some hardships in life, they ask, why me? I'm such a good person, why is this happening? But Vaisheshika Prabhu, he says, change that question into, what is the lesson? What can I learn from this? And then it transforms the situation to an opportunity to learn and to grow. And Krishna, he's our well-wisher, so he doesn't want to cause a disturbance, but sometimes we need like what Maharaj says, a good kick in the pants to to remind us that this world is not a happy place. Before the battle of Kurukshetra, two people approached Krishna, but they had different motives. Duryodhana, he was hoping to get Krishna's vast army, divine army. And the other person was Arjuna. And it's interesting because Duryodhana, he wanted to sit right next to Krishna's head. He was hoping when Krishna would wake up, he would see Duryodhana first. And he would ask him first, you know, what would you like from me? But Arjuna, being the eternal servant of Krishna, he sat at the feet of Krishna. And when Krishna woke up, he saw Arjuna first. And then he asked him, what would you like? And then Duryodhana, he protested. He said, I came to your tent first, O Krishna, you know. Please grant me a boon. So Krishna, he asked Duryodhana, what would you like? You can have my army or you can have me. But Krishna told Duryodhana, but during the battle I won't fight at all. So Duryodhana, he said, what use is having Krishna if he's not going to fight? Better to take his army. So he asked for Krishna's army, and Krishna gave it to him. And then when he asked Arjuna, Arjuna said, please just be on our side. And Arjuna, he wasn't concerned about win or loss. He simply just wanted Krishna on his side. And Bhishma Dev, he said, wherever there's Krishna, there's victory. So he told Duryodhana, you're such a fool. You could have asked anything from Krishna, but you decided to take his army instead of having Krishna on your side. A very interesting pastime. Bhishma Dev and the other Kuru, the elders from the Mahabharata, they were advising Duryodhana who Krishna and Arjuna's identities were. And there was, I think it's Narada Muni, or it might be Vyasadeva. They said in a previous time, these two, Nara and Narayan rishis, they were meditating. And there was this very puffed up king. And he was able to conquer everyone, the whole world. And then since he heard of the glories of Nara and Narayan, they were undefeatable, he approached them. And first, Nara and Narayan rishis, they refused to fight with them. Since this king was persistent, he said, okay, prepare your army. And this king, he brought his whole infantry, you know, elephants, chariots, spears, bows, everything. And Nara, or it was actually Arjuna, he fought with them alone. And Nara Rishi, he took some blades of grass, some strands, and he threw it at this king's army. And these blades of grass turned into steel shafts. They actually killed all of his army, and he left them being unable to move. So this Rishi was telling Duryodhana that just by Arjuna himself, he was able to defeat this vast army. And he said, since he has Krishna on his side, that you can't defeat them. But sometimes good lessons, or people that are envious or puffed up, they are not willing to accept good advice. So Duryodhana, he still refused to believe this, and he went on with the war. It's actually interesting because Krishna, he tried everything to prevent the war from happening. And sometimes you'll hear that, Why do you worship Krishna? He's the one that instigated the war. He's the one that, caused the battle of Kurukshetra to happen. But Krishna in the Mahabharata, he said that he wants everyone to understand that he and Yudhishthira and everyone actually tried preventing the war as much as they can. But Duryodhana was very persistent. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that violence is necessary when good arguments fail. So the battle had to take place. And ultimately, Krishna wanted to reinstate Yudhishthira Maharaj as the emperor of the whole world. So here, those who are parents can understand, although the child speaks with broken language, it appears very sweet. Like there was that little child yesterday during Balaram Prabhu's talk, He kept, is it a girl or a boy? It's a boy. He kept yelling, and the mother is just smiling, But the rest are like, excuse me, we're trying to listen. So the child, although they appear very imperfect, the parents see them as very wonderful. So similarly, although we are disqualified in so many ways to serve Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he sees our endeavor. But we should note that we shouldn't take advantage of this. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to chant, and I'm going to do whatever nonsense I want, and then at the end, I'll go back to Krishna. But it doesn't work like that. Since this life is a preparation for the next, yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajet yante kalevaram tam tamivati konteya sadatad bhava bhavataha. That whatever state of being one remembers when he quits this body, O son of Kunti, that state he attains without fail. So at the end of life, if you're doing all this nonsense, you won't be able to chant the holy name of Krishna. Although you get some benefit, you won't receive the full benediction of chanting offenselessly. There was a fruit seller, and it's described she was very poor. And she was yelling to Nanda Maharaj's palace, I have some fruits for sale. And baby Krishna, it's described that his mouth was watering, and he wanted these juicy fruits. And he could remember that his parents, they were bartering with this fruit seller. He said, let me bring some rice. So Krishna's little hands, he brought some rice with them, grains of rice in his hands. And since he was running, half of them spilled on the floor. And when he approached this fruit seller, he said, I would like to buy some fruits. And this fruit seller was so captivated by Krishna's sweetness, his beautiful form, his beautiful face. So she gave Krishna as many fruits as his little hands can hold. So Krishna smiled, and then he started running back to his home. And this fruit seller, she was just very, you can say, enamored by Krishna's beauty, that she didn't even look in her basket. And when this fruit seller reached home, she saw in her basket very valuable jewels. So just by pleasing Krishna in a small way, Krishna will reward you. And also there's the pastime of Sudama Brahmin. He was a very poor Brahmana, but he happened to be Krishna's friend in their Gurukul. And his wife was thinking, please go to your friend Krishna in Dwarka. Please ask him for help. But a pure devotee doesn't ask anything from Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna. So due to the request of his wife, he went to Dwarka. And it's interesting because when the guards saw Sudama Brahmin, they didn't know who he was. So first they stopped him, but then Krishna, with his all-knowing personality, he told them, please let this Brahmin in. And all the queens, they were surprised that Krishna was washing this poor Brahmin's feet, you know. And then they started catching up, you know, how are you? And then Sudama, he actually didn't want to give whatever chip rice he brought for Krishna, because it's a very, you can say, insignificant or not so much, you know, chip rice. But Krishna accepted this chip rice, and when he took a bite of this, anyway, long story short, Sudama went home, and when he went back to his hut, he didn't recognize it because it was a palace now. And it's described that his wife was transformed to a very beautiful form, like that of the goddess of fortune. So just by visiting Krishna, and although Sudama didn't want anything in return, Krishna rewarded him. So it's a very beautiful pastime. So Krishna is easily pleased. He says there's two things that will guarantee a person to be unhappy in this world. One is if you try to make everyone happy with you. If you try to do this, you'll never be happy. A lot of people, they just can't be pleased, you know. No matter how nice you are to them, no matter how much you try, you'll never be happy with you. So one, if you try to please everyone. And then the second one is if you try to make people happy with you. They say if you try to please everyone, there's always one person that will be unhappy, which is yourself. But here it says any small activity dedicated to Krishna, even if performed in a negligible way, it doesn't go in vain. Like Sankarsana Prabhu here, you know, his whole life is dedicated to service. From the very beginning, you know, he's thinking of Krishna. When he wakes up, he wants to stay in that dreamlike service of Krishna, you know. And also, so devotional service is very glorious. In the Nectar of Devotion, it says that Krishna can award liberation to everyone, but he doesn't award devotional service very easily. So we should keep that in mind. My spiritual master, he asked me, what is your favorite canto in the Bhagavatam? And I told him my favorite pastime is the Ajamila pastime. Do you ladies know the Ajamila pastimes? You know? So Ajamil, he was born in a very nice Brahminical family. He possessed all good qualities. And then one day he was collecting some wood for his guru. And in the forest he saw some very low-class people embracing and, you know. So this sparked this lust in his heart. And he couldn't get this, they call prostitute, out of his mind. And Ajamil was also married. So Krishna says lust burns like fire, and he couldn't stop thinking about this woman. And he left his wife and he moved her in. And it's described that he had 10 children, and he tried every means to support his family. Cheating, stealing, all of this. So he lost all of his good qualities, and he became a very fallen person. And he had a very young son, and due to circumstances, he named him Narayan, which is another name for Krishna. And as he was on his deathbed, and he would, call out for his son, Narayan, please come take your milk. Narayan, please, go to bed, like that. So out of affection, he called out to his son Narayan. And actually, before this, the Yamadutas, the henchmen for Yamaraj, the demigod of death, he approached the Jamil, and then they approached the Jamil. There was 3 of them, and they had noose in their hand. They had, they were very fierce looking. And at this time, a Jamil chanted Narayan, and Krishna or Narayan, he was so. It says here, although he took it very seriously, Jamil wasn't thinking of Lord Narayan. But since he chanted the name, 3 Vishnudutas, the messengers of Lord Vishnu, came, and they had a discussion between the Yamadutas. What is Dharma? Who should be taken to hell? And the Vishnudutas, they said, go back to your master. You guys are supposed to know what Dharma is, but you're arresting this person. He chanted the holy name of Narayan. And after this, Ajamil got a second chance. So this is one of my favorite pastimes because it shows the potency of chanting Krishna's name. And lastly, it says, whether one desires everything, nothing, or a desire to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, rendering transcendental loving service. So whatever one may have, I was explaining to Bhakti Nelson last night about Dhruva Maharaj's pastime. The people in this world, they want little things, I want my own company, I want to be a billionaire. This is insignificant compared to Dhruva Maharaj's. I told Nelson Prabhu that Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted a whole universe, a kingdom greater than his great grandfather, which is Lord Brahma. And then, so I was telling this to Nelson, and he was appreciating it. So this is Bhakti. Krishna doesn't care about what we have done or who we are, because ultimately we are all eternal souls. And if we simply offer a little love to Krishna, he reciprocates with an ocean of infinite love. If we take one sincere step towards Krishna, Krishna is willing to take thousands of steps towards us. And it just depends on our sincerity. Okay, that's all I have. Are there any questions or comments or reflections? Corrections? Anyone online?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, and there's a shloka in Bhagavad Gita, and this is because in the translation it is said, quote, and always ready to act for the good of the living entities, close quote. So based on this quote, my question is, and I do need to find the Bhagavad Gita shloka where Krishna says, and this is in the chapter, the title of the chapter is The Divine and Demonic Natures. There's a shloka where Krishna chants as follows. Yes. It is text 19, which goes as follows, quote, those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life, close quote. So my exact question would be, if you allow me, again, if Krishna is always ready to act for the good of the living entities, why is it that he perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence the envious and mischievous? That would be my question.
Thank you very much, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
You're welcome.
So from what I understand, the beginning of this discussion was because Parikshit Maharaj, he was asking, why is Krishna impartial, Why does he favor the demigods over the suras? Because shouldn't God be impartial to everyone? And the answer is, Krishna is impartial, but he reciprocates with us. The example is a king. He constructs a prison house, but this prison house is not for everybody. It's only for those that are criminals, those that break or defy the laws of God. And then they go to this material world or this prison house. So Krishna is not canvassing, he's not telling every living entity, go to this prison house. But it's for those that disobeyed his laws. So similarly, Krishna gives us this wonderful thing called free will. And with this free will, we are able to do what we want with it. And when we go further away from Krishna's instructions, the worse it becomes for us. So we can't blame Krishna for this. And ultimately, there's two types of people. Those that want to, actually it says there's three types of people. Those that are liberated, there's people that are trying to be liberated, and then there's people that are stuck here. So the people, if they're not given an opportunity, they take lower and lower births, and then eventually they go to the animal kingdom. And then in this life, they're not able to understand anything higher than just eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But does anyone else have anything to add? Triveda Prabhu?
I think the doubt here, the problem is the perpetually ajastram, which is translated in the word by words as forever. And there's a whole commentary here which I haven't finished yet. I haven't read it, but it's Prabhupada's. This is Baladev Vijayabhushan. It was translated by Bhanu Swami, and that was the basis of Prabhupada's commentary. And here he says, his commentary on that verse, 19, because of their asuric mentality, demonic, they will not get liberation at all. This is explained in two verses. I, the Lord of all, giving results to all beings according to their karmas, throw them again and again, ajastram, into birth as sinful persons, hunters and mlechas involved with violence. Then the next verse, taking birth as demons, birth after birth, these fools not attaining my mercy at all, then go to the lowest status of life, O son of Kunti. Then there's a long purport, which I haven't read yet. But the thing is that that's going to be their fate until they get the mercy of a pure devotee, and there can be a sea change in their. In other words, it's a difficult situation because they've developed this demoniac thing, and they're going to get into demoniac species and doing more demoniac things. But as shown by Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, with Jaya and Vijay and so forth, even the most apparently hopeless can be delivered ultimately. But we don't want to go that route because it's a long time before you can get that. So that's what I think it is. And I always wondered about that perpetually, because perpetually means forever, and indeed in the synonyms it does say forever. But in other places it says that it may seem like forever, but eventually you can get the mercy.
Mm-hmm. So I hope that helped Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, if I may say it, it helped a lot. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Okay. Well, thank you for your time and attention. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.